Hey, Mark here. I have a really cool giveaway. I have 5 digital copies of A Quiet Place Day 1 up for grabs, and I'd love to get one of them to you. So if you're interested in winning a copy, just shoot me a message and be like, hey, Mark, I like monsters that hate noise. I like quiet people, and I'd love a digital copy. So yeah, shoot me a message if you'd like a copy. Bring home A Quiet Place Day 1. Buy on digital now. Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn star in the film critics say is packed with nail-biting tension and thrills, included with over 50 minutes of behind-the-scenes footage and deleted scenes. Written and directed by Michael Samosky, available at participating retailers. Buy A Quiet Place Day 1 on digital today, rated PG-13 from Paramount Pictures. Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is someone who loves GW Pabst and Pabst Blue Ribbon, Zanandi Boetes.
Just give me a sec. I'm almost done finishing applying Tipp-Ex to my fingernails.
I love that line. Who's your favorite director? Pabst. You're just reading my beer
Yeah,
can.
right?
And then I looked up GW Pabst. I should know about GW Pabst, but I looked up his films, and he has a movie called Voice of Silence. So when she says silence.
Silence. I love that.
You know what's funny?
Cute.
When I was watching Lisa Frankenstein, I heard that line. I'm like, there's a Pabst director, like Diablo Cody.
Yeah.
That's not just a joke. Like there's
Exactly.
actually a Pabst in here. But then that was kind of fun to
Exactly.
find. Lisa Frankenstein's and Andy, we're doing it.
Oh, we're doing it. What a fun little movie, right? I
You
mean,
want
and
it?
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, like I love that Cody also said it's in the same universe as Jennifer's Body, because that just makes me want another movie where Lisa and Jennifer teams up and like maybe go to college or something in the 90s and just like wreck shit. Like that would be so fun.
A succubus and a reanimated murderer wake up.
Yes. Corpse
And
Bride. And
yeah,
they just like, yeah, they go full rage. I love my female rage movies. They're great. We don't have enough. And so I'm always there for it. Is this movie perfect? No. Like we can get into it. We can like, dissect every scene where the blocking might have been iffy or where the pacing might have been like not great, like or where we thought it could be tighter or whatever. But I just love the experience of watching this movie. It's a very chilled movie, like, like chill out on your couch with popcorn, put on some Lisa Frankenstein and just like enjoy it. I mean, director Zelda Williams, that she also said, like, by no means is this a movie that's going to like change lives, or she didn't set out to make this profound thing. Just like a really fun, like she said, get on the roller coaster and enjoy it kind of thing. And I mean, visually, it's so pleasing. Love the practical effects we have here. Like I also read someone said it kind of made them think of like a Pinstagram board come to life, a visual board come to life. And absolutely, like visually, there's a lot to love. So yeah, I really enjoy it. And I mean, audiences did too. Like if you look at the scores, RT critics gave it 51, audience gave it 81%. So, the people have spoken and we dig our like little Frankenstein riff movie that's like feels like a love letter to like goth films in general. And like I mean we all also know that silent movies were the original goth films, like
and
yeah, I dig it.
she has her mummy poster up on the wall. Lisa does. That's a
Yes.
very romantic film if you think about it. Why the mummy comes
Mm-hmm.
back, and you do have
Mm-hmm.
that original goth that they pull from. And I also like that a lot of the color scheme comes from Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, which is a gnarly rom com
Yes,
that I
right.
love, and I think it looks incredible. But yeah, no, this is just a fun movie, and most importantly, what this movie does I enjoy the most is I really like Taffy, played by Liza Soberano.
Right.
Like I think Taffy is
Yes.
just a wonderful breath of fresh air that could have gone wrong in so many different ways. I also too, this is a 80s throwback film filmed by people who were alive in the 80s. Like Diablo Cody knows the 80s. So with those
Yes.
little collectibles that Lisa's throwing, there's a post recently that, like pop vinyls, those pop toys are what
Yeah.
adults have now, but in the past it was those little figurines. And
Yes.
the mom has that, and what's crazy? I lived in a house where you couldn't walk on the carpet. Like there's a section of the house, it was a sunken living room. You just couldn't walk in there.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. We never went
Yeah.
in that room. Like there's entire rooms and people. And listen, in the 80s, there were rooms where you just couldn't go in.
I mean, yeah,
And
not in our house, but other people's houses. I
yes,
remember, like, you just don't walk there. Nobody's allowed. It's like, why do you even have this room? Like,
don't
it's like a
even look at
shrine
it.
to
Yeah.
to etiquette or something. Like,
Just spray it down once a week, and that's it. And like Carla Gugino's character, like I know that she's written up as being a quote unquote bitch, but she's also like she's talking about how her dad was blown up in Da Nang, and that's like she just dealt with it. Like she's
I love how
probably
that's
like the best line. Like no one coddled me when my dad blew up in Da Nang, and
yeah.
she's
And
just
I'm fine. Look at
yeah.
me, I'm fine.
This is a woman who is so repressed, has been married multiple times. Like, in her house is her house. Like, there's no one else's personality. She steamrolls the dad, but she's a wildly broken woman.
Yeah,
And
I mean, listen, she's a complete narcissist, but like, yeah, there's nuance to it still, like
you got to
it's
understand, y'all,
fantastic.
80s. So, I mean, I grew up I was born in 82, so I'm not the most knowledgeable on the 80s. But I remember, I do remember that age, though, where people who just had horrifying things happen to them, you just suck it up.
Yeah,
You just suck it
yeah.
up, and you you
You
just
don't talk about
you
it.
don't-
You don't show emotion.
and
Just robot yourself through it.
and if you were goth, you were weird. Like you were a weirdo.
Oh,
If you listen to
yes. Oh my
Cure, it
gosh.
wasn't going to cure anything. It was, I guess, it would cure your sadness, and it's beer sluts don't like the music, but you were ostracized. So a mom like that who has buried everything would absolutely look at Lisa as a little weirdo. So it's
100%.
this movie.
100%. She doesn't fit into her mold of things.
No, and it feels right.
No.
Like there's just this movie. This is a movie that has some curveballs, and I don't think it only made 10 million worldwide on a budget of 13 million. It'll recoup just fine, but
Yeah.
it just sucks. Like people watch this movie and they're like 1 star. Like there seemed to be a general dislike of it before it came out, and I just don't understand that because there's a lot to like.
I think maybe people wanted a more like cookie cutter type of thing because a lot of people complained that it was like didn't know what it wanted to be. Did it want it to be a comedy? Did it want to be like a trauma story? Trauma a survivor story. Like, did it want to be a romantic thing? Did it
Hmm.
want to be just like a big 80s throwback thing? And it was kind of all of those things. But I mean, yeah, like we have spoken about a lot of movies like this, and we like movies that doesn't really bother us. We don't really care if you want to give us 4 or 5 genres in one. Like we find it entertaining, where I think other people just don't like that. Which fine, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it. Like I
No.
thought it was fine. But yeah, no, I also like a lot of people said they didn't like the leads. They're like such unlikable two characters. I'm like, what? I thought that was lovely, but I guess I don't know. Like it's a very teenage girl freaking situation. A lot of people are also like, yeah, the script wasn't punchy enough, especially for a Diablo Cody film. And I'm like, you know what?
What?
Juno is fine, but
Not
like
so
like
much.
there are really moments in Juno where I just roll my eyes and I'm like, just talk like a freaking normal person, please.
Yes, yes.
Like I feel like, being a teenager is lame. So you kind of want a bit of lameness in there. It feels more real to me. It feels more relatable to me in a lot of sense. I didn't relate to Juno. I don't even know anybody who talks like Juno, like
Mm-mm.
it's just so sharp and clever. And I don't know, it can easily come off as pretentious, We're like, I don't know, I like the more groundedness of and just the more fun. She sounds like a teenager. She talks like a teenager. And then people were like, yeah, but doesn't even make sense why she would like go for this guy and then not go for him and then go. And I'm like, okay, so you don't know teenage girls at all. Do you not know? Like, it's messy, y'all.
Yeah.
Like we didn't even know ourselves what was going on. Like, but I dig it that they first like did the become friends thing, before she completely, lost her heart to the boy. I thought I enjoyed their characters. I didn't think they were these unlikable characters. I like they were troubled, troubled teens. But I mean, yeah, listen, Taffy is like Lisa she's a revelation, really.
Yeah, she is.
She's really the breakout star here. She was fantastic. I call her character tactless Taffy because what an interesting character, again with the nuance. Like, she seems nice, but then the things she says sometimes, that's why I say tactless Taffy. But yeah, apparently she told I think, was it the Hollywood Reporter or Variety, I couldn't remember, during an interview, that Zelda said to her she basically wants to like base Taffy on Ferris Bueller's girlfriend, Maya. So that's where the idea and like how they played Taffy came from. That, and then she said, like, the minute because she only met Carla Gugino, who plays her mother in the movie, for people that do not know. She only met her like halfway through the film. And the moment she met her, she started to also kind of, like model Taffy, like, because it's her mother. So she was like, okay, she's going to have some of the same mannerisms, some of the same, like, understand the mother character. And yeah, what a great, great, great experience to see her like bring this character to life, because Taffy stole the show a bit, like. But I mean, I enjoyed all of them. I really did. Like, because the dad is like another useless dad, but that's like just the trope of, oh my word,
he's the biggest
just like
useless
so
dad.
clueless,
Yeah.
right?
Have you ever met a dad
the
like
dad
that?
of Orphan?
Yeah.
Who's the worst? The dad in Lisa Frankenstein?
Oh,
or the
Orphan.
dad from
Orphan's the worst.
Orphan, right? That guy.
Well, because like the dad's wife, we actually don't, we can talk about that later, but he's just a checked out dude. He's just checked out. But an Orphan, there's so many red flags, and he's just, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. Like, it's good.
Yeah, it's okay. Why are you
like,
stopping?
no, stop it, Peter Sarsgaard, stop it. Like, he's the most checked out horror dad ever.
Right. Oh, wow. Absolutely clueless.
I'm so happy you brought up Taffy, because like Cody said that she was going to be a big fan favorite. And that blows my mind that she didn't meet Carla until halfway through, because there's a couple times watching this when I was like, Taffy's pretty well adjusted having such a maniac mom. And
yeah, and she calls her own mother out. Like, I love that, how she calls her own mother out. Like, it's amazing. Sorry.
And no, you're right. She calls her out, but like she has some of her meanness, because if you have a mom like that, you're gonna have some of that. So it's kind of interesting that they didn't start until halfway through, but schedules and all. But yeah, no, but I love that scene where she talks about why Lisa is, and Lisa's mom was murdered by an axe-wielding maniac. Lisa didn't talk for a long time, and it was supposed to be a secret. But then she goes, yeah, I can tell you because you're my cheerleading sister, and it's one girl. And when she finishes the story, it's 3 girls. And so I
love it, little gag.
But then she's really supportive. Like, when she finds Lisa in the morning, she's like, we all do it. Like, and then she's just getting her back and friendly. And it's actually a pretty interesting message about how you peg somebody as something. I think Lisa just pegged her as a beer slut. So that's their word, not my word. Okay. That's like an 80s word. And then, but she's cool. Like, she has her issues, but she's cool. I don't know. Like, Taffy is
but she's
cool
also
kid.
full of it. Like, I love it when like Lisa asks her about the hickey, and she's like, yeah, it was my hair crimper. And she's like, no, but you never crimp your hair before practice. And she's like, oh, but like, I have the perfect, healthiest hair. It's like my biggest flaw. Like, like there's these little moments that shine through where you're like, nah, this girl, which obviously, like, kind of, how do you say it leads up to where we find out, Taffy isn't that nice, really, because she totally went and freaking slept with the guy that, she knows her stepsister digs, and not dealing with it at all. And I mean, what a situation. But then again, it's not like just a pure backstab moment. They frame it like she was just very vulnerable, and it kind of just happened with the guy, and she felt bad about it. And so, yeah, she's not this outright mean girl, but she says things which is like, what? Like, when she tells Lisa, yeah, like, the guy's not really your type anyways. Like, you won't go for the jock does, maybe like the assistant, or maybe like, a guy with acne on his face. Like, what? that's so mean, actually, but she says it so sweet and so understated, not like the usual mean girls that we always see on screen. And I think that's why Taffy is just such a fantastic character. And I mean, even at the end, when everything's said and done, I mean, the second last time we see Taffy, she's all covered in blood and it's like, there's your PTSD, girl. And then the last time we see her is at the grave with her stepfather. And I mean, even there, she actually seems okay again, like, okay, life goes on, which is like,
Wearing the
who
necklace.
is this character?
I mean, listen, the mom was a maniac and she knew her mom was a maniac. So, I mean, that's still not a good thing. And then, she has a chill stepdad who dotes on her and he just cares.
Yeah.
But he pushes her too much. Like, hey, what time are you getting back tonight? Oh, gosh. But he's, and sometimes I wonder if, to Kathryn Newton's detriment, Williams and Cody realized pretty early on that Taffy was a cool character. Because I love Lisa. And Kathryn Newton, we talked about her in Freaky, and I really like her in The Map of Tiny Pretty Things. I like that movie a lot. But I wonder, I think sometimes you're on set and you're like, this person's got a hot hand. And Taffy had a pretty hot hand in this movie because you're right. She's very sarcastic. She says things that are mean in a very nice way, but then she actually is nice. I mean, with a mom like that and no dads, and seems like she's had various stepdads, and she seems genuinely happy that her latest stepdad is nice. Like she loves him, that he's just chill. So she's going to be messed up. But there's just I think that's such a unique character to work with, because as much as I like Lisa, and they said themselves, like they love that. Like, I found a quote here, and they said that they just wanted to, what did she say? They just love watching Lisa find herself and become, she just, like, she's finding herself and she's becoming angrier and just like, I think they really like her in those regards. But Taffy's funny. I like Taffy. And I have a question for you. So for years, men have watched movies about teenager girls that have been written by other men.
Yeah.
So with like Jennifer's Body, which was marketed into oblivion, and this one, that do you think men have a hard time with teenage girl characters written by women? Like, because men have grown up. This is a really random question, but like, men have grown up like
No,
Buffy,
not
right?
really.
Joss Whedon, wrote Buffy, and everyone's like, she's a miracle. But then Diablo Cody writes characters, and they're like, oh, she's unlikable. I think Juno worked because it's so hyper stylized. It's like, hey, you're laying on my chops here, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is horrifying. Please stop. I don't even know why chops is in that movie, but you know what I mean. And also, I mean, Diablo Cody can't write like that forever. That's not a sustainable business model to always write characters like that. And we talked about young adult, so she has evolved. But it seems like this movie made 9 million and people are calling them unlikable characters, because I just think we're in a day and age now when women are actually writing teenage high school girl characters. And I think dudes who grew up watching like female high school characters, like what, Dawson's Creek, right, written by Kevin Williamson, and all that, like now there's a new wave and people just got to get used to that. They're going to be more authentic. They're probably going to be angrier. They're not going to be part of the male gaze. So I think a lot of people need to get used to that and kind of reframe how they're watching these movies, if that makes sense to you.
No, 100%. I mean, I'm glad you brought it up, because I mean, it's totally a thought that I've had about the whole thing. Like, I didn't want to like come out and say it, because then I'm the woman who's saying like, boys are being sexist, Mark. So, but absolutely. I mean, you can't help get that feeling, because it's always like the same culprits, and it's the movies that like a lot of women feel this is the authentic experience of being a teenage girl. And then boys saying, nah, this is not. And I'm like, shush, sit down, shush. Like, I don't know. Like I say, I just felt like this was very much relatable. I too, like, sat in graveyards when I was a teenager and talked to my dad. Like, I mean, I know what that's like, like feeling lonely and finding solace in a quiet place, even if it's among the dead. That's not a weird thing. I could totally relate to that, because that's totally what I also did, So I mean, little things like that. Because I read people like it didn't really even make sense that she wanted like this guy to like manifest and become real and things because like she wasn't that shunned and she wasn't that, but it was about how she felt. That's the thing. A lot of times, sure, you can say, hey man, but it's not that bad. People, will give you up, but it's about how you feel. And as a teenager, it's very difficult to process those feelings. So yes, you feel like the loneliest person in the whole world. You feel like no one understands you. That's not necessarily true, but that is the way you feel. Yeah, again, it's another crit that I don't really agree with because I'm like, yeah, I think I mean that's the wonderful thing about movies is we can like share experiences and learn like how different people are and how some people reason and how some people react to things. And we get to explore all of that. If we just have everyone doing the same bloody thing, no one's going to learn anything. And that's the end of my rant.
No,
Bye.
you are. And listen, all right, three things. Her dad. So her mom was murdered by an axe murderer. We don't know who.
And she saw it. You guys,
it-
that's mad PTSD right there.
And so you can't talk to your dad. And now listen, I hate going back to this, but this was the 80s. You rub dirt on it. You legitimately rub, and you still do, but you rub dirt on it and you keep going.
Yep.
Even if everyone's blown up and denying, you just get on with it. You're not being coddled. So her dad is not going to help her. He's just he'll be like, oh, honey, like, let's go get some Fuddruckers. Carla Gugino is not equipped to handle that. She is way too broken of a human being.
Yes.
So she couldn't handle that. When Lisa tells Taffy about going to the graveyard, Taffy says that is weird. Now, to a kid who is seemingly well adjusted, hearing that your stepsister goes into cemeteries and talks to the graves of dead people, especially in the 80s, you're going to think that's odd. So Lisa tries to open up and it doesn't work. When she tries to talk to the editor of the newspaper, that girl comes up and is just so hostile and gives her drugs. So she has no one to vent to. So of course you're going to go somewhere and you're going to feel alienated. And shoot, go to when you feel alienated and alone, going to an abandoned graveyard, that
it's very
that makes
peaceful.
sense. Yeah,
like I love graveyards. It's very peaceful.
It makes sense, right? And so that's, again, I think people just aren't thinking about that. And to a lot of people's, I think what a lot of people need to understand that like maybe people reviewing this did not experience that kind of life, so they can't think outside the box. So, and good for them. But it's something that hit home for me in this movie. So, but it also showed me that no one was willing to think about not no one, like 50% of the people, based on the scores, 50% of the people are able to think in terms of what this movie was going for. And I'm telling you, I think the people who complain about the tone being odd and Lisa's turn and the killing of Gugino and her turn, like she becomes quite brazen pretty quickly. It does happen fast, but it's still a fun movie. Like, I don't think you and I are saying this movie has no flaws, but I don't think those flaws wreck the film.
Exactly, because we can still emotionally connect with it. And I think that's the thing. The people who can't, they're getting hung up on technicalities, like, which I get, I understand. Like, we're, again, not saying there aren't flaws, but like, it's not a perfect movie, but we could at least emotionally connect with it. And yeah, I think just like a lot of people couldn't. And I mean, that's a you problem, my friend.
You know what's tough for me is I've watched movies that I have not emotionally connected with, but I can still give them a good review because I realize that just because they didn't connect with me doesn't mean it's a bad movie, right? I just don't know that situation that these people are going through, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. So it's kind of
Yeah, but
interesting.
Mark, you have empathy though.
Yeah,
I mean, you have empathy. You can understand things. I mean, none of us were in freaking World War II, Germany, but we understood the zone of interest. We cried because it was freaking emotional. So like, I mean, like you have empathy. Anyway, I'm not saying, everyone else doesn't, but I'm just, I mean, we're trying to figure out like, we always do this and maybe it's just a lost cause really. But I mean, for me, this is why I love the movie.
I guess too is we can't blame. Sometimes if you think about all the content that comes out nowadays, and the tremendous amount of reviews people might have to write, you can't think about the movie as much as you want.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
people, I know very good critics who have to write like 10 reviews a week. Legit, 10
Yeah. No,
reviews a
that's
week.
crazy. And I think that's the problem because I don't think that works.
Mm-mm.
I think, I mean, we know that fatigue is a thing. Absolutely, it's understandable. Like you say, they don't have time to really go think about it. It's just like, ugh, well, okay, this wasn't like the best friggin' 2 hours of my life spent. So, bleh. Like, yeah, your review is probably not going to be very positive because you just need to move on to the next. I get that, like, and I feel for it, but I feel like that's a system problem. Like that
Yes.
doesn't work then, does it?
No.
Then it doesn't work, you guys.
And how much, when you're writing 10 reviews a week and watching 10 movies, how much thought can you put into that movie? So there's a lot of people out there saying criticism is getting worse, but I just think criticism is getting it's like content, push, more reviews,
Exactly.
watch. And cinema is meant to, you're supposed to just sit on it, right? You're supposed to just think about it. And so for me, when I write a
Yeah.
review, I try to wait a couple days before I get to it. I try to review it.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying my reviews are that great. I don't think I'm not looking for like a pat on the back. I don't think I'm the best movie reviewer because I think I'm a researcher at heart and I like doing data posts.
Yeah.
That's more my thing. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm a bad reviewer. And I'm not saying I wait 2 days and that makes me better. I just think I think it's good to live with it for a little bit at least. But a lot of people don't have that, right? I know some people who
They
go to
don't have that
screenings
time.
and
Yes.
they go to screening and they need the review done in 2 hours. That's not enough time to digest what you saw.
No,
So
I don't
it's
think so either.
like, and I think I'm not saying I can see why someone could watch this movie and not appreciate, like you said, the blocking or the
Yeah, the
various
pacing,
plots.
especially in the beginning, and exactly like this is just some choices that is very obvious, and I think like it as a critic, and if you're looking with a critical eye, and not just sitting and experiencing a movie, then that hits you pretty hard. I mean, even me, every time I watch the movie, when it gets to the scene where they're dancing, like I personally would have the camera in there with them with the dance, not like, it's like someone peering from behind the bushes recording them. It's a funny choice and it takes me out every time. But I mean, like just for a second, because I still enjoy it. But I think for a critic, those things happen and it kind of just like hits them in the face. And like, if that happens too many times, yeah, you're gonna not be so positive about it. Like, so I get that. But yeah, that then becomes a problem when we're so stuck on reviews and stuck on the scores and like, that makes a dent at the box office and like all the things, so but yeah, do I
And
have
like,
an answer or a solution for this? No, I don't.
and like Zelda Williams is a first-time director. And
Yes.
she talked with Diablo Cody for a long time before they started making this movie. But I'm sorry, any first-time director, I know there's a lot of first-time directors. I know Charlotte Wells and Celine Song created After Sun and Past Lives, but they had long careers. Not long, but they had big careers. They had careers before that where they filmed and they saw and they thought and they lost projects. Like these are people who think deeply about film and understand it. So when they made their film, they were ready. I think other
Yeah.
first-time directors, when they jump into it, one thing I've noticed with first-time directors, I love Lake Bell's movie called In a World, but there's so many speeches, right? There's a lot of speeches that kind of
Yeah.
take you out of it. There's just several other films when you make them, you very much so feel the first-time director vibes because sometimes we're like, you know what would look cool if we did this shot, but that shot doesn't go with the story and it takes you out of it. So I think you can feel that this is a first-time director's film.
Yes.
And you know what? That's fine because it still is able to listen, the performances are good, the production design is good. There are absolutely moments that take you out of it, and there are some little lines that aren't really necessary. But
yeah, or jokes that doesn't land necessarily, but I mean, then there
Still.
are others that do. Like,
Mhm.
I love the whole gag, the running gag with the stinky tears.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. And the way Kathryn just freaks out every time. I cannot deal with your stinky tears. Like, I mean, there are great moments still. And Zelda is still young. I mean, she's early 30s. Like,
Mhm.
you know, she's still young. She's like, for a first full feature film, a directorial debut. I mean, I think, yeah, like, I think it'll be interesting to see what she does next, because I also read that she actually didn't want to do comedy. Like, she actually had a fear of doing comedy, but this like opportunity was just so great. Obviously, working off a script from Diablo Cody, who wouldn't want to do that? But yeah, I mean, I think like for a first effort, this is a movie that's already it's got cult classic status all over. There's a lot of love. Again, the audience gave it an 81%, like, you know, ratio. So yeah,
This will
like,
100. This has all the makings of a cult classic. Wasn't well
yes,
reviewed right off the bat. It didn't make any money, and it was kind of brushed off. But I think it will catch an audience, and that's
yes,
the recipe for
yes,
success for a cult classic, because you can be like,
exactly.
you know what's the hardest movie? Well, some of the hardest movies to talk about, and I think I've told you this, but movies that are like 75% tomato meter, 6.5 IMDb, made 250 million, and everyone's just like,
Yes,
yeah, it's good. Like, it's not a
yes,
blockbuster, but everyone basically decided that it was a good movie. That's one
yeah,
of the harder films to talk about, because
100%. You don't really have anything to say about it.
yeah,
It's
it doesn't,
like, yeah, it
yeah.
was fine. It's
Like, it wasn't
fine. It's
great.
fine.
Like, this movie's
It's
great. Or
fantastic.
was it like, this
Yeah,
movie really
it
sucks?
sucked.
It's this movie is good. It's
Yeah,
fine. So I think this movie will it has all the ingredients, and there's some very funny lines when she's talking about the back,
right.
quote unquote, back massager. She's like, my aunt said it would improve my personality, which is a very funny line. In the pop quiz, when it's like, oh, I have a pop quiz tomorrow, I thought those were supposed to be a surprise. They're legal now. Some kid had a heart attack and died. It's
He died.
it's
I love it.
funny. Yeah. And
Damn it, Janet. Like those little
oh
shout
yeah,
outs. Like, damn it, Janet.
and she's funny, and this world is so heightened as well. And so I think when Gugino is killed, when that little that little maniac, when she takes the hand of the guy that touched her, when he's killed, it's that kind of world. So
Exactly. It's
it
very Jennifer's Body if you think about it. It starts off with the party, someone gets sexually assaulted, and then like the supernatural entity arises. Like it's got the same beats with Jennifer's Body. That again, I love that it's like in the same universe. It makes sense because that's how you need to view it. It's in the same universe. This one's just a lot more 80s like
oh
oriented,
jeez
and
Louise.
a lot of homages to, like, I mean, that's also a thing. A lot of critics were like, that was too much. It was too much focused on like 80s homages and whatever. I'm like, I don't care. It makes it
It's the
fun for me,
80s.
honestly. Yeah, like they went for it. Like, I mean, yeah, Gina with her little self-help tape, like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
being such an empath, and watch out for the emotional vampires. Meanwhile, she's the biggest one of them all. Like, it just such a cute way to show this woman's complete denial of herself, like, and how she is.
And
But
the all
also,
meat
can we
pizza.
please? Oh
The
yes,
meat
yeah.
pizza.
Beef, and it looks like the worst
There's
slice
no
of
cheese on
pizza
it.
ever. Like,
It's just
it's
meat
just
on bread.
mince meat. Like, it looks like dog food.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that's
chuck.
so.
It's beef chuck, like whatever, ground
Oh
chuck,
my word!
just slapped
Yeah.
on a pizza, and no
Oh my
cheese,
word. It
no
looks
veggies, no, yeah.
dry, so dry, so dry.
But you know
Not
what
even
though?
oil.
Vegetarians in the 80s,
Oh.
nah. Especially kind of in other areas. Get over it. Nah, that's not happening. And I'm telling you, this is a movie written by someone who knows the 80s. So I didn't mind.
Exactly.
I minded none of the 80s references at all.
None. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I didn't feel it was too much or too like in your face. A lot of it was like kind of, like throwaway lines. I mean, yeah, no, I dug it. But can we also just talk about, I mean, it's my personal favorite flying penis scene of the year. That scene, was the blocking perfect? No.
No.
But was it a fantastic scene? Yes. And Lisa actually said, so they originally she was covered with way more blood when like creature chopped off that guy's manhood. They actually had to CGI some of the blood out because they were going for a PG-13 rating. And they were like, yeah, we're not going to get it if she's covered in all that blood. But that was wonderful. Like, and the way because Zelda, the director, she said, originally they were actually going for an R-rated movie. So they had a big, beautiful prosthetic little thing that they like totally shot, and the way it landed in the bin. But then, yeah, they were like, no, we're going to change it to PG, the rating vibes. And yeah, she came up with that little shadow shots. I think it was just so funny. Oh,
Yeah,
that was great.
I mean, listen, this movie would have worked well as an R, but I think if younger kids can discover it as a PG-13, they're going to enjoy
That's
it
the
as well.
thing, right? And I mean, that's why it's not that heavy. That's why it doesn't focus too much on like the PTSD trauma survivor thing, because then it would have been a drama. Then it would have been a very serious thing. This is a fun little, like, entry horror, if you will, film, like, yeah, it's just cute, man. It's cute. But I still want to see a Jennifer and Lisa do a R-rated movie together. Like I say, send them to college or something.
Oh, and I feel
College in the 90s.
Oh no. Yeah, that's fine. I like that. Let's do college in the
Right.
90s.
Yeah. So like explore women, like, yeah, in their 20s, like out of school, that whole thing. I mean, with lots of female rage.
And you know what? Like you had
Take
all the
all my
bands at the
money.
time, Veruca Salt and all those. They could start a band, a
Right?
rock band.
Exactly, because there's always like a magician, a magician, a
musician.
musician somewhere. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
with we had the satanic band in Jennifer's Body. Here we've got the Victorian pianists. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's always like a magician,
So
musician. Jeez, why am I keep?
I gotta tell you, Adam Brody in Jennifer's Body is very scary because they're just the most early 2000s
Normal.
group of just entitled wieners, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's hard when you're a boy band. It's just hard. So I'm gonna take
Yeah.
this woman and treat her like nothing and just sacrifice her and be cruel with it because it's just so goofy.
Terrible.
And that's a very scary villain. And I think, but you know what's interesting is what Diablo Cody was talking about. I feel bad because Jennifer's Body got taken from her and it got marketed towards men. It was just check out Megan Fox. She's a fox.
Yeah.
Here are these
Oh, my word.
outfits. Oh,
Honestly.
and you know what's interesting? I feel like in Jennifer's Body, they kind of fell in love with Amanda Seyfried's character a little bit more too than Megan,
Yeah,
which is
needy.
interesting. I felt
Yeah.
the same with Taffy. But this one they said was marketed how they wanted. And I feel bad because the marketing wasn't butchered and it still is a movie that just made 9 million. So everything was ideal for them. And I think they had the budget, they made the shoot, and people just didn't come out. So it's kind of a bummer because with Jennifer's Body, you can legit look at the marketing and just be like, that was terrible. That was horribly marketed. But I kind of feel bad that everything sort of fell in place for them here and it didn't hit. But I mean, a lot of movies are kind of being duds right now. Like Boy Kills World made 1.2 million recently. I think it's hard in theaters right now when Kathryn Newton's great. I love Sprouse. Sprouse did a good job, but this isn't a movie that's Cole Sprouse. Like this isn't a movie that was going to pull in 30 million opening weekend or even 10 million.
No, it's a little movie.
Yeah.
It's very much a movie that you want on DVD movie, like I'm not saying I don't want to watch it on the big screen. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, it's interesting on the Wikipedia page, they actually said before like the movie was released, they projected that it would only make between 4 and 6 mil. So they were like ready to like not, see like there's a big opening. Yeah. So that's interesting. And I don't know. I don't know how they project those things. I don't know how that works. Do they do that after the marketing? Like where do they get, that information from? But so, I mean, yeah, like they projected between 4 and 6. It did 9. I mean, like, that's okay then, I guess, because it's not like it was a big shocker to them that it didn't, make bank or anything. But I mean, for what it is, and you're absolutely right, though. I think, movies are back. Like COVID, like, that was a very interesting time when everything just basically went to streaming because we couldn't go to theaters. now theaters are back again. It's open. Gosh, this weekend is Star Wars on the big screen, even down here in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Like, I mean, yeah. So, movies are back. And I think the competition level now, because we've been kind
Sure.
of, again, in COVID, moving into, again, like kind of having an independent revival. And it's still like, going, but now to have to compete again, like, the box office thing. It's again that thing that Ryan Gosling said the other day about
Angry Birds.
the Nice
Right?
Guys didn't make
Yeah.
top box office. Yeah, Angry Birds did. So that's why the Nice Guys didn't get a sequel. Angry Birds did. Like, so I mean, yeah, you have to compete against like a lot of big movies, bigger movies sometimes, big studio stuff. So I
That's a
mean,
good point.
yeah, like I don't really get too hung up on the box office thing, just because like we've seen so many movies that's found longevity on home video. That is such a powerful thing. Yeah, like it might not have like, yeah, broken box office records, but if it's a movie that people will still be talking about down the line, I mean, how many times are you going to watch Oppenheimer, Mark? I mean, like, I don't want to watch that movie again ever. Like, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
It's what we
yeah.
always say, like, you're not the best movies, but your favorite movies, like the stuff that you're going to watch over and over, that your kids are going to watch, that their kids are going to watch, like, yeah. And I feel like Lisa Frankenstein is definitely more in that category for me.
If you think about other cult classics too, they have a lot of pacing issues. Like Boondock Saints really isn't a movie. It's just a collection of
right?
scenes, but people fell in love with it.
And we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at the filmmaking of it, when you go back and watch it now, you're like, whoa. But when you got that, I'm sorry, like when I got the DVD handed to me by a coworker, they're like, watch this. I'm like, what is this? And I went and watched it. I was like, oh, man, this is personality. I think people will watch Lisa Frankenstein and realize that it has a personality worth sharing. And no,
Yes.
I hope it does well. And you're right. I mean, Challengers opened up to what, 15 million? And that was promoted to the hilt. And I mean, Zendaya is probably one of the biggest, most recognizable stars on the planet. So
Yep.
to expect Lisa Frankenstein to make bank is, I guess, a bit naive. So at least it made 9 million. It's on Peacock. And I think like I think it's funny. And I think it's going to have a longer life than, say, a Juno, because you watch Juno now and it's just like the dialogue. I
It's
understand.
heavy.
I watched it back in the day and I laughed. I thought it was funny. I was like, this is fresh. This is original. This is zippy. I like everyone involved. But then you watch
Yes.
it later and it wears on you. I don't think this one will
It
wear on people
does.
as much. And I think the one thing that can hurt it is the pacing, because you are taken out occasionally from the film. Like it does
Yes.
zap.
Especially in the beginning, which is kind of like, yeah, where you don't want it to be.
You just feel it like pretty. It's just, I don't know. So I think that could
Yeah.
hurt it. But if people can just, I don't know, I think it's pretty authentic. It is an authentic movie with some pretty authentic emotions that I liked. So
Exactly. Like the story and everyone involved like owned it. And I think that's why it worked. It also has a lovely soundtrack. You actually asked me about the 80s songs. What
oh yeah,
580
let's
songs
do it. Yeah, what
you want to
580
talk
song?
about it?
Yeah.
I actually did. I went and thought about it. I mean, it's so difficult because there's so many amazing songs. And obviously, like I told you, it depends on the movie, but like here's my 580
Oh, I want
songs
to
that
hear
I
it.
would love to try and get into. Like if I directed a movie, guys, this is what Mark asked me. If I ever directed an 80s movie, what 580 songs would I use? So I would love to use Don't You Forget About Me from Simple Minds. Love that song. Ain't Nobody by Rufus and Shaka Khan. Love that. Call Me from Blondie, because I need a Blondie song in there. And then pretty much anything from the Bangles, but I would like Complicated Girl would like probably be a cool one to use, but there's so many great Bangles songs. And then David Bowie's Let's Dance.
Oh, that's perfect. I can see it all in my
Those
head right
vibes.
now.
Wouldn't that be an amazing soundtrack, film movie soundtrack?
Don't want to hear my really pretentious one, but I feel good about it.
Please,
All right, Where's My
please.
Mind by the Pixies.
Yes.
Your Love by the Outfield, because I love I
Nice.
love that song. Love Will Tear Us
Nice.
Apart by Joy Division, because I like Joy
Nice.
Division. Jesus and the Mary
Mhm.
Chain, they have a song called Just Like Honey that was on the Lost in Translation soundtrack that I think is gorgeous. And I'm cheating. I don't care, but it was recorded in '89. But I want to take "Enjoy the Silence" by Depeche Mode
Okay,
because I just
cool.
watched
I
the
was
Postal
also looking at
Service.
the page one.
I just watched Jenny Lewis and like Ben Gibbard cover it with their band, and I just love "Enjoy the Silence." So those would be
Yeah,
my
it's such
5
a good
songs.
one. Love it. But how hard is it though? Because I mean, like I love my 5 songs, but there are so many amazing
Oh yeah.
songs,
Well, you know what's great? There's
right?
thousands of them. So I mean, we're gonna miss a lot of
Yeah,
them. So we might as well pick those.
absolutely.
Hey, so
Absolutely.
do you want to do a quick Carla Gugino draft before we get out of here?
Oh yeah, okay, cool. Let me get my little
Oh,
filmography here. Okay, cool.
I
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
Gugino. I've been watching. Yeah. So I'll let you have first pick.
So, like, I actually scanned her filmography, and there's actually a lot of her movies that I still need to watch,
Uh-oh.
which it's kind of cool. Like, yeah, more Carla Gugino. Let's start with, oh yeah, a little naughty favorite of mine, Sin City.
Oh
Sin
yeah.
City. I dig it. I've got the poster.
I
It's
remember
such a
watching
cool
that movie and
poster.
just being like, "Holy crap, Carla!" in that movie. I didn't.
Right?
I won't
Woo!
say anymore, but I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I wasn't expecting that on whatever afternoon I went to go see it. I'm gonna take Son-in-Law with my first pick because it's the first movie I saw her in the '90s, and I was like, "Carla's great." And it's the Pauly Shore movie where she takes him back to her family's house during Thanksgiving.
Yes,
So I'm taking
yes. I actually
Son-in-Law.
saw that and I'm like, wow, I want to watch that movie again. It's been a while. It's been a while. Okay, I'll take Watchmen.
Oh, yeah, she's good in that.
Yeah, Silk Spectre.
I'm gonna take Gerald's Game because that was like just her
Ah, damn it. I
straight up
knew I should
just
have started with it.
acting her face
So
off in the
good,
scene. It made me very happy.
right? I mean, she was really good there. Um, Gunpowder Milkshake.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
take Gunpowder Milkshake.
All
Yeah.
right, Gunpowder Milkshake. I'm gonna take. I don't know if I love the movie so much, but I like her accent in it. So I'm gonna take. What's it? Sucker Punch. I like
Ah,
that
Sucker
Gugino.
Punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm gonna take Lisa Frankenstein
Oh, hey, good one.
since you took Gerald's Game. Just have a good horror in there.
Lisa Frankenstein. She's done some really good TV work recently too, so it's gonna
I
be fun to
mean,
see.
yeah, she does, and I'm kind of like, it feels like Mike Flanagan also kind of just, you know, blew some fresh air into her career, like really like, showcased her to people who might not have known who she even was, and now everybody knows she is because she's in every series that Mike Flanagan does.
Oh, she's great.
And she's so fantastic.
So fantastic. You know what? I'm gonna take Snake Eyes, the De Palma film from the '90s that she's in.
Okay, yes.
All right.
Yes, yes, yes.
This is fun.
Okay, I've got one left, right? She's
Yep.
really been in a lot of stuff. I want to watch Jaded. I mean, it looks like I've never seen Jaded, 1998. She's on the poster, so she looks like the main character in it.
Hey.
It looks interesting, right? Right? So
All right.
check that out. Okay, sorry, I need to choose
You
now,
got a
and
solid
I
squad
will
here. I like it.
choose. Let's go. Let's piss people off and go with Man of Steel.
Ah! Man of Steel, her and her Snyder connection, and I'll finish with Spy Kids since she's been in so many of them.
There we go. Yeah, she has, right?
She's been crushing it for
Nice.
decades now, and I just think she's perfect in this movie because she could have been the evil stepmom, but then when she makes that the Nang line, you're like, oh, so this is a really broken woman here. This isn't just a lady.
Absolutely. And she's done some really interesting stuff. Like one of my favorite, like obviously besides Mike Flanagan's series, I mean, The Haunting of Hill House is fantastic. But the series, did you ever watch Roadies?
No, I never watched Roadies. I like the cast,
Oh,
but I
I
never
did.
watched it.
You should. It's pretty cool. And she's just, she's so hot in that. Oh my gosh, so hot. Oh, yeah, watch Roadies. We actually enjoyed it. It was just like like just, one quick in and out standalone series. It was good.
The cast is
Check it
good
out
too.
sometime.
Oh, Imogen
Roadies.
Poots.
Very cool. And the way they filmed it too, like, I think we actually binged that one. So
Carlo,
that was
Luke,
good.
Rafe. Does Rafe Spall use an American accent in it though? It's the only
I
thing I'd be worried about. That's a very
can't
random
even
question.
remember who that is.
I love Rafe Spall, but his he does in Jurassic World, the sequel to Dominion. No, not Dominion. Whatever the Fallen Kingdom. His American accent is. I mean, I'm not saying I could do any better, but it hurt my soul. So I just want to. Rafe Spall. I like him a lot as an actor.
Spall. Why isn't anything coming up? Okay, I'll go Google it later.
Yeah, do it. Hey, so where can people find you, Zanandi? Or do you have anything else to say about the movie before we get out of here?
No, just that, yeah, everyone go watch Lisa Frankenstein again. And yeah, don't wear jellies. They're terrible.
Turn your feet in a hamburger.
Oh gosh, I remember that. Like we like grew up in the face of the jellies. Oh my word. It's terrible. But yeah, no, I am still waiting for my Tipex to dry. You can find me on a tanning bed. Hope not electrocuting myself.
That's not from Final Destination 5 or this movie.
Yeah. Favorite scenes where tanning beds don't work.
Three.
That would be a fun episode.
Yeah.
Yes, the third one. Yeah, no, I'm on the socials. Check me out. Like, yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you for joining me. This was good. We knocked this out. I'm very happy. This was a great discussion. Just let me know that.
If you're happy.
All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Zanandi Boletes, this is Movie Stones and Flicks. We'll see you next week.